Hi, I'm Alison Morley, and I'm a curator, educator, a photo editor, and photographer sometimes. I always admire photojournalists because they have to do a lot of talking and a lot of smiling. And if you want to be a good one, that's what you have to do. You have to seem and eventually have to become very engaged with your subject. You have to listen to their stories and get into their life to be able to really make a personal document. And we talk about photojournalists, helicoptering in and just covering something and getting out. The thing and they often don't have time to actually get to know people. And that's really difficult, but I always say to my students, it's like start far away and get closer and ask permission and talk to them and tell them what you're trying to do and the story that you're trying to make and ask them what their story is because maybe their story can become your story to represent, to help people better understand who that person is or that community or that life. And the more closely we participate as part of that with your subject, the easier it'll become to make those pictures because they will give you permission. They will allow you in slowly but surely. It can take months. You have to keep going back and be stubborn about it. I mean, if someone says no, absolutely not, then it's no, but you can try and you can try if you really feel for that subject, they'll feel it. You feel it when somebody likes you. So they got to like you in order for you to be able to communicate best with them. And the story starts simply. You just say who you are, especially if you're a young photographer. You just say, you don't go at it like, well, I'm a professional and I'm working for the New York Times. It's much better to take it from a less obvious point of view. That's intimidating for somebody, a regular human being. So what you want to do is just say, well, I was thinking about this story about this neighborhood or this location, or I don't know anything about farming, and I want to. So, you know, could you talk to me about that? Could you show me things? You don't have to be shooting all the time. It's a lot of talking and getting to know situations. And then my last thing always is to make a shoot list. Life magazine taught me that. I mean, you make a shoot list. Eugene Smith, the very first photo essay was, he had a huge picture list of different things life wanted covered in the Country Doctor, which was his first story. So you make a shoot list and it's funny because often I found as a photo editor at the New York Times Sophisticated Traveler that people, photojournalists that I would send, they would just go there and madly shoot it and then come back and I'd say, well, where's the church? And they said, well, I went on Wednesday and there was no one at the church. And I'm like, well, what day would you go to church? It would be probably Sunday, and what day the fruit market is happening. When is the sun best at the cafe that I needed to have photographed, or the hotel, or the street itself. You should scout and look for when the light is happening, where you might run into a picture at that moment. Most likely not. But just scout and make notes. And when you go back to your room or your house or wherever you're living, then at night say, I could have done better. That should have been shot at twilight when the bar lights are up and it's yellow, warm, and the blue sky behind it. That would have been great. So you make a note. So you put that on your shoot list, things to do. And the wonderful thing about a shoot list is once you've done that thing that was on the list, you cross it off. You've done that thing. That's okay. You don't have to go around with your, crazily and try to cover this whole area at one time. So that's the biggest thing I recommend to photographers. Smith kept major journals of shoot lists. And beside going back to the hotel and editing, think about what else you really need. Unless you're on a deadline, then you have to, and write the captions. But if you're shooting a story for yourself, then take the time to go back. You really have to find the story first, and that may take a lot of photographing. I had an example of photographing, a student photographed a family of 9 kids and the mother and father, and she photographed for almost a year, and I finally made her put them into different subject categories, each one of the kids, the mother, the father, the group together, locations, etc. And when she did finally put them into these folders, these groups, she was able to see that actually she had photographed 2 of the children much, much more than she had photographed the other children. And so her whole story changed because it was really, and what she was most attracted to was how these kids were feeling kind of lonely because they sort of became secondary parents. And that was really the nut of her story, not this whole big family. She included the other pictures, but she really concentrated in the sequence on the 2 older kids who were more isolated, and they were better photographs. So that's the beauty of contact sheets. That's the beauty of making 5 by 7s, like just, staples, kind of printout, drugstore printouts, 4 by 6s of your pictures so that you can put them out and look at them. That's what I have over here. I'm in the process of making a book here. And so I have them on just foam core and just playing around with different sequences. Another tendency we have is to just look at our pictures when we're on the computer, and then we shut it down for the night and that's it. And I believe that living with your pictures outside of the computer is another secret way to really understand who you are, what you stand for, what this story really is about, by really looking long and hard at your pictures and cropping them if necessary to find what your real intention was with that photo, not what you wanted it to be, but what it really is.